Welcome to Down the Road with me, Joel Heitkamp. We've got a lot of things we want to cover today. One of the things we're going to focus on is the big lie. That's right. That's what we who believe the election was not stolen, we who believe the election was fair, are calling what's going on across the nation with those individuals that continually beat the drum that in some way the election was stolen. Well, it's a lie, and we're calling it the big lie. And we'll get a chance to visit with Daniel Lippman about that. Daniel is a reporter with Politico, and he's got a big history in his young career already. This is someone who's, covered news for this nation on foreign soil. This is an individual who's done some great work in his internship. And this is an individual who understands the players when it comes to national politics in this nation. So we're going to get a chance to visit with him. The other individuals we're going to visit with is we're going to show you some footage from Fargo City Commissioner Tony Gehrig. And to say that it got lively last night at the Fargo City Commission meeting would be a gross understatement. Believe me, I thought they were going to come to blows. And to me, oftentimes as an observer of government, it's government at its worst and yet government at its best, speaking as a talk show host. Daniel Lippman joins us right now. As I mentioned, he's White House and Washington reporter with Politico, and he's good enough to be right here coming down the road with us. Daniel, good to have you on.
Thanks so much for having me.
A lot of things going on. I made reference to the big lie and how that is all playing out. I guess the main thing that I was looking to talk to you about is how Liz Cheney is being treated by the Republican Party and how she's holding her ground. What's the word in D.C. on that?
So the word is that she's in real trouble in terms of her leadership position as chair of the Republican conference in the House, and Republicans are mad at her for weighing in and criticizing Trump, even though she doesn't. She focuses on policy. She only responds to Trump's provocations or when reporters ask her about Trump. But in the next few weeks, there's going to be leadership elections potentially for her, and she could be booted out of her leadership spot and just made a regular congresswoman from Wyoming. And so that's concerning to the moderate part of the Republican Party that doesn't want her punished and thinks of her as a real hero for standing up for her conservative principles.
Now, this will be for lack of a better way of putting it, a secret vote, secret ballot, right? The caucus members will not know necessarily how the other caucus member voted. So it actually will be a real true test of what they feel.
Yeah, and I think that's good news for her because there's a number of Congress people in the Republican Party that they like that she stands up to Trump. They don't think that it's a good a good path for the party to be just with Trump forever and not criticize him for the insurrection and for promoting election fraud when there wasn't really any election fraud on a mass scale. And so this kind of insulates them from the public eye in terms of their base. They can say, well, my vote was secret. I voted to kick her out. And it would be funny if everyone says they voted to kick her out and she stays in. And so that's kind of just how it works, which is a nice part of the system that this is not a vote for the record.
For me, on my side of the aisle, and Liz Cheney's never going to vote for me, and I'm never going to vote for her. I'm never going to send her a campaign contribution, but that doesn't mean I don't respect her and having the courage to say what she feels. Here's a tweet that Liz Cheney put out, ladies and gentlemen, in regards to whether or not this election was stolen. And, to say that in the environment that the Republican Party has right now, where, quite frankly, it is Donald Trump's party. There's no question that it's Donald Trump's party. She had to have known, Daniel, she was going to pay a price for that tweet.
I think she definitely knew. I think she is kind of banking that history is going to look more kindly on her and that Trump will be an aberration. Remember, he only won one term, and most presidents get 2 terms. And so, the Biden administration is spending trillions of dollars They're rewriting the Trump legacy. Almost every policy has been reversed on a major level, and so that she is trying to make the Republican Party turn towards a more traditional conservative use of principles. And she knows that Trump is not going to be around forever. Maybe it's going to be the Tucker Carlson party or the Ron DeSantis party, but she would probably be happy with DeSantis party in that case. But she thinks that in the long sweep of history that she will be proven right, and that she can at least tell her grandchildren, I stood by, I tried to defend the party, tried to keep it from going too far to the populist conspiracy end of it.
How big of a factor do you think her father plays in this? Dick Cheney has long been one of the most powerful men in the Republican Party, former vice president of the Republican Party, and a man who, quite frankly, when they see him, they think conservative from the Republican side of the aisle. And of course, this is his daughter, out there on the front lines criticizing Donald Trump. And so it begs the question, Daniel, how much do you think Dick Cheney is the one whispering in his daughter's ear?
I think it always helps to have a vice president as a father, former vice president as a father. But I think she's her own person. She thinks her own thoughts, and I think regardless of who her father is, she thinks the party should not be isolationist, should not embrace things that are just not true, and that you're not going to win moderates by embracing the big lie, not standing up to Trump. And so kind of amazing that we're into May of a year when President Biden has been president for most of the year, and we're still talking about Trump and his kind of stranglehold of the Republican Party. There's a lot of Republicans who voted for Biden who, they may not pay attention to every twist and turn, but they see that people who stand up against Trump, they are getting lambasted by the majority leader, the minority leader of the House, by other party officials, and that that does not sit well with them. They want the Republican Party to go back to a more mainstream opposition type party and not embrace things that are not true.
A lot of us are finding interesting from afar that Minority Leader McCarthy is sitting there and he's talking about Liz Cheney, and he's talking about removing her from leadership, which obviously plays into the observation that in his case, being majority leader, which easily could happen after the next election, is more important to him than dealing with the moment in history like you're talking about. He's got Representative Gates down in Florida at the same time that he's not criticizing, who we've yet to find out if it's true or not that he paid for sex with a teenage girl. So here you've got him weighing in on one and not weighing in on the other, which again makes me ask you, what price is he paying for that politically?
Yeah, that's a great question. There is Matt Gaetz is kind of the Trump wing of the party, and there are Republicans who will look at why doesn't McCarthy criticize Gaetz more? He has said if he gets charged, he's out of there, basically. He will be stripped of committee assignments and kind of banished on his own island. But this is, a real test for the party. Is it, what is going to happen to Matt Gaetz? And why does Liz Cheney seem to be the target of McCarthy and Jim Banks, who kind of wants her job? He is the chairman of the Republican Study Committee. And so that is a real question. We don't know what's going to happen with the Gaetz investigation, but it does not look good when one of Trump's principal allies in the Republican Party is under investigation for kind of gross stuff.
Well, when you look at Liz Cheney and you look at what's happening, this is a woman who was elected by even a wider margin in 2018 than she was before, but she won with 63% of the vote in 2018, and in 2020 she won with 68.7% of the vote. So they loved her even more in what is, I realize, a very red and conservative state in Wyoming. Trust me, I know what that's like. I live in one. And as a Democrat, it's a pretty big uphill climb to make some headway on that. That being said, you know, they're going after these individuals where they live. They are. They're going after these individuals right in their backyard. In fact, in the next segment, we'll show you what happened to Mitt Romney. But where is Liz Cheney in her own state? What price is she paying in Wyoming?
Well, she seems to be still pretty popular in Wyoming, and it doesn't seem to have affected her that much. You know, she is not committing political suicide by standing up to Trump, and so she is in touch with her constituents. She knows what they are telling her. She knows the polls, and so I think her line and many people's lines when they do stand up to their own party is, like me or dislike me, but at least know that I'm trying to represent my own conservative values and point of view, and not trying to be a phony. And so that kind of bleeds into her constituent work, where she is her casework in terms of if you're a person in her district who needs help from Social Security, she knows that you're going to get a kind of a fair shake from her, and she's going to try to help you, her office. And so I think that's the fact that she won pretty handily in 2020 indicates that she has not lost huge amounts of support. But I'm sure she gets tons of calls from the pro-Trump supporters in her district saying, shut up, basically.
I don't doubt that one bit. When we come back, we're going to talk about Mitt Romney. We're going to talk about what the future of the Republican Party is with everything that's happening with the big lie. So stick around. We'll keep going down the road.
Howdy, folks. It's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey-Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing, because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness. During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark. Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero Binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it.
Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight, just pay a separate fee.
We'll even ship them to you free.
This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Welcome back to Down the Road. We're still visiting with Daniel Lippman. He is with Politico, and so we're trying to get his take on some of what's happening nationally with the big lie. And I'm sorry, I'm going to keep referring to it as the big lie because, let me think, just wait a minute, it is the big lie. And so, you know, people are paying a price politically, and I want Daniel and the rest of you to get a chance to see this. Mitt Romney, obviously one of those individuals that has stuck his neck out and been willing to take on Donald Trump. I heard him speak right after the insurrection, right after the attempted coup of this nation. He goes back home, and he speaks to the Republicans there, and here's what happened to him.
So what do you think of President Biden's first 100 days, huh? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So what do you think about President Biden's first 100 days? Now, you know me as a person who says what he thinks, and I don't hide the fact that I wasn't a fan of our last president's character issues. And I'm also no fan... Aren't you embarrassed? And I'm also no fan of the president's... Yeah, sure.
My friends, this is the moment I was talking about. Please, thank you, show respect.
Thanks, Derek.
Still behind Trump 100% of the way. And, you know, Romney, you know, he's a former Republican presidential nominee. He has kind of been pretty loyal to the party, and you know, he was seen as pretty conservative, and it doesn't seem like that is in vogue these days. And I think he still is fine in terms of his political standing, but there are going to be these types of incidences where Republicans like Romney get flack and grief from their own base, who are disappointed that they don't just grovel and roll over for the former president.
Is that data that you know? I mean, are people polling in these states? I mean, you said that Romney isn't in danger politically. Liz Cheney is still popular in Wyoming. Does that play into the same conversation that we had about the secret ballot in terms of Liz Cheney staying as part of leadership? That when you get them away, and you get them all the ability for that anonymity, that then they finally get a chance to say, look, I'm not believing the big lie, or I'm not completely on the Trump wagon here. So is there polling data that shows what you said?
I think, you know, I'd have to poll all the polls, but there is a portion of the Republican Party that does not believe the big lie, and that even if they vote for Trump, they still were not going to march to Washington and storm the Capitol and think that it makes the Republican Party look bad if you do that. And so it's just a kind of minority of the party. And a lot of the Republican Party, they think that Trump, you know, that if you criticize Trump, it makes it harder for him to come back in 2024, which is true. It does. But they think that there is a stronger, you know, you have a stronger chance of winning back the White House and the presidency and the administration in Washington if you run a candidate who is not Trump. Maybe it's someone like Tucker Carlson or Ron DeSantis, who doesn't have the issues that Trump has. There's no string of women, you know, in Carlson or DeSantis's background that would come out of the woodwork right before the presidency. They have not said the things that Trump has said. They're not talking about, you know, rapists being immigrants, although Carlson, of course, has tough immigration rhetoric. But he's kind of more educated than a Donald Trump. And so that's, that's kind of what the Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney wing of the party is looking for. They don't want Trump to have the ability to come back in a couple of years.
You mentioned Tucker Carlson a couple times here. I don't know if I've been living under a rock, which could easily happen because it's baseball season, but is he floating the fact that he's a potential presidential candidate? Is that out there somewhere, Daniel?
I think it's kind of in the political gossip ether stream that I'm tapped into. And so I don't think he's floating the fact himself. There's been stories about it. He is one of the most vocal and famous, members of the Republican Party these days. He has a huge platform, much bigger than Trump in some ways, in terms of setting the agenda of the media. And, he has the most popular show on cable news. And remember, with The Apprentice, if you're the star of TV, then you can easily translate that into, winning a presidency, at least with Donald Trump. And so, he does have some star power. Whether he actually runs is an open question. We don't know. But he is kind of doing the things that one would expect if, he wants to stay relevant as a TV show host. But if he wants to keep himself open as an option, then I'm sure there's a lot of Republicans who would be happy to vote for him.
It's interesting. I hadn't even thought of that. I know he's been playing out all over the news, but you've got a better pulse on what people are talking about there than I. I mean, how's it going to play out if people see how he danced on Dancing with the Stars? I mean, nobody was ever worse.
He'll be forgiven for that.
I just can't imagine. Daniel, thank you. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. One last question. Is Liz Cheney running for president?
She might run in 2024. She talked about that, I think, to the New York Post. And so that would be quite something. It's going to be a crowded field. And so, but she definitely has some fans out there.
Okay. Well, Daniel, again, thank you. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you.
Daniel Lippman, ladies and gentlemen, with Politico. Tucker Carlson. I mean, that you talk about insider. That's one of the reasons we asked Daniel to come on. I mean, there's what they're talking about in D.C. I cannot imagine. Of course, I never saw Donald Trump as a viable candidate. In fairness to Tucker Carlson. I mean, my theory on Donald Trump when he came down the gold escalator was that he was just coming down there to help his brand. The Apprentice was in the toilet and, he loved that attention. And, of course, this is a man who tried to sell us steaks, remember? And so, Trump College was in the tank and you had all of these things going on. I just thought he was running for attention. And I'm still, I don't know that he ever thought that he'd win, but he did win. And obviously, I was wrong about that. But Tucker Carlson, that's just amazing to me. Donald Trump sent word out today that, his supporters are going to be very happy. So he didn't say I'm running again. What he did do was try to, put a little bait out there, put a little message out there. Now, Facebook is deciding whether or not to open up Donald Trump's account again. Obviously, Twitter was the big social media that he used to get word out, and Twitter has backed off him being able to use that as a platform. Facebook as well, and all of that stemmed from January 6th. They felt, as did the majority of America, I believe, that Donald Trump played a role in the insurrection, that Donald Trump was responsible for what happened that day by riling everybody up and telling them to head to the Capitol. Sure, you're going to find a clip or two that says peaceful, but you're going to see way more that basically told those individuals what they needed to do. And these folks will follow him anywhere. They'll follow him anywhere. The buzz out there right now is that he is going to run again. Now, for many of us, that's no shock. I think he's been running since the day he lost the election. And he began this process of the big lie. I get it. I understand it. But, he will be the political story until he chooses not to be the political story. So ask yourself this. Do you think Donald Trump likes the attention? And if he gets back on Facebook, it's going to ratchet up even more. We're going to get a chance to visit a little bit when we come back about Tony Gehrig and the Fargo City Commission. And it's an interesting fight. Stick around. It's going to be fun to watch.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues.
Thank you for your patience and understanding.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that the most condescending, rude email you've ever received?
Well, welcome to
National
the third
news.
term of a certain president. I really believe that.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
Indoor football is back in Bismarck. Bucks football season is right around the corner. Grab a friend or family member for a night of action-packed, hard-hitting entertainment. The Bucks open at the Bismarck Event Center May 8th as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. Catch the sweetest seats in the house right on the sidelines with VIP service at a Bucks turf table. Available now for single-game purchases. Secure your tickets today by calling 701-595-0771. Bucks football, half the field and double the fun.
Welcome back to Down the Road. Before we switch gears here a little bit and we head to the Fargo City Commission meeting that was held last night, before we do that, I want to go back to the subject of the power that Donald Trump has over the Republican Party. Now, there's a couple renegades there. There's a couple that they're not fearful. We just got done talking about Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney, and nobody wants to go home to their state and get booed. I mean, nobody wants that. And as we visited with Mr. Lippman, you know, he said they're okay in their home state politically. I'm not there yet. I'm not. I haven't seen any poll numbers of what Liz Cheney's stature is when it comes to Wyoming. Now, he might be right because people can be anonymous, right? A poll comes out, nobody knows who's in the poll. They maybe don't love Donald Trump or what he's done to their party. They're going to support him out of fear. But because of this, the anonymous way that they can do it, and anonymity gives power. And so I'm just curious what those numbers are. Now, there's others that have had that same courage. Adam Kinzinger is one of those. Adam Kinzinger is a congressman, served this country in uniform. This is a congressman from the state of Illinois. Take a listen to what he had to say.
And on that note, while you may not like the election results, that doesn't make the election fake. Is there some fraud in our elections? Absolutely. You can make that case for every election we've had, I'd imagine, but the fraudulence is minimum, and it's not enough to change the outcome of the election to overturn enough large numbers to change the final results. Again, you may not like the outcome of the election, but that doesn't mean that our 2020 election was fake. It was real. It counts. And we need to move forward. Failing to accept this reality puts the country in a very dangerous moment in time.
It does, and he's right about that. Again, this is a man who served our country in uniform. He knows when we're in danger. And so he was one of the individuals that had the courage when he saw the insurrection. He saw what could have happened. And I will repeat this, and I've said this many times on this show, that had they gotten to Mike Pence, they would have killed him. There's no doubt. They certainly would have killed Nancy Pelosi. Had they gotten to those two people, they would have killed him. And they would have felt as though they were commanded to do that. So Kinzinger had the courage as a Republican to take on Donald Trump in that impeachment vote. Here's another one, Anthony Gonzalez. Now, Anthony Gonzalez is a congressman as well, I think from the state of Ohio. But take a view of this.
You have to love your country and you have to adhere to your oath more strongly than you do your job. And, I don't know what political fate, will play out. I don't. But I do know that as I was sitting in my office contemplating the vote, look, I was very anxious and had a lot of people who I trust, who I love, who were saying, "Hey, don't do this. This is going to have some major political ramifications, and you're going to have a lot of cleanup to do." And they are right. There's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, again, I go back to you have to adhere to your vote. You have to love your vote. You have to love the country. You have to love the Constitution more than you love your job. And if my fate is ultimately that, I don't get to come back, I will do that at peace.
You have to love your country more than you love your job. What does that say? That's courage, ladies and gentlemen. That's knowing right from wrong and doing what's right. Now, they can't be anonymous when they did this. They had to sit there and they had to hit the button and the vote pops up on the board and you and I get to know exactly how that vote went. But they had the courage to do it. I think that's a question that all Republicans have to ask themselves going into the next election cycle. I want to talk a little bit about something that I think you're going to be surprised what my reaction to it is going to be. Last night there was a debate over whether or not what we're doing in Renaissance zones is working or not. And this played out at the Fargo City Commission meeting. So Tony Gehrig, longtime individual that has fought the Renaissance zones, fought these TIFs, has taken on the establishment of government when it comes to basically giving big tax breaks to big developers. Now, there's a fellow city commissioner in Dave Pepcorn who's just the opposite, feels just the opposite. In fact, he thinks they should be getting all those tax breaks and more. So watch what can play out at a Fargo City Commission meeting right here in our home state.
Just for note, when you came to us with this project initially, I supported it. It's a beautiful building and it'll be a great asset to that part of downtown. And I also just approved the plat for that. If you don't get the incentive, will you continue with the project?
Likely not.
A 5-year incentive is going to stop you from investing $21 million.
It'll be important to get the building fully tenanted, and that front-end period will allow us the opportunity to do that.
I don't believe you. And this is one more example of people using the system that we have set up in place. It's our fault for doing it. I don't blame you guys for asking for it. By right, you should. I'm not done talking.
So, Mr. Chair,
Dave, hold on. Who has the floor at this point?
Can't insult.
Who has the floor at this point? Dave, if you have a problem, talk about it when I'm done. I'm not done talking yet.
That's inappropriate to insult somebody.
I don't care what you think is appropriate or what's not. I don't work for you. Wow. Anyway, I don't blame you guys for asking for it. I would ask for it too if I was in your place. But I believe that a temporary small incentive would not preclude a $21 million incentive. This is not even $1 million incentive. This is not 1%. This is not 10% of your project. This is basically a contingency, which is why I said I don't believe that they would stop this building without the incentive. We're giving away free money. We need to move the incentive. We need to end the incentives, and we need to stop stacking incentives on top of each other. Now, Dave, have at it.
But once again, I will say that's offensive to have a city commissioner call a citizen a liar. That's offensive. And I don't know what we can do, but I won't stand for that. Thank you.
Censure me then.
I wouldn't waste my time.
Is there a motion?
Settle down. Commissioner Gary.
Speaking of the parking ramp that Dave's touting, that parking ramp has never paid taxes. There's not been a dime of that building that's ever paid taxes to the coffers of the city of Fargo. It went into a TIF, which is an incentive. And that went to a little bubble that we as a city took from the school board, from the park board, from the county, from vector control, from all the things you're supposed to be paying taxes for. We took that money and we spent on whatever pet projects we decided we wanted to do, which, by the way, had nothing to do with police and fire, building roads, building sidewalks, building streetlights, had nothing to do with any of that. So when you talk about these incentives and what a great job we're doing at those, we are wasting your money. We're stealing from the park board. We're stealing from all these places. The schools are more than 50% of your property taxes, and we are robbing them absolutely blind, and we're patting ourselves in the back about how great we're doing. Give me a break.
Commissioner Pepcorn.
Mr. Chair, so anytime you want to look at the facts, I have numbers that will back up everything we said, and we'll happily do it. Jim Gilmore's way smarter at the numbers than I am, but any citizen that wants to come and see the actual facts, claims from a clown, don't listen to him.
Claims from a clown, don't listen to him. So you've got one city commissioner calling the other a liar, and then a clown. Now, the passion that Tony Garrick brings to his debate when it comes to these tax breaks is just unequaled. It really is. And he's consistent. Now, Tony is a no commission voter. He said, well, I supported this. If you follow Tony Garrick's political career, there have been a lot of 4-1 votes, and he's been the one. I get it. I understand it. But I want to say this, and the reason that I wanted you to see that clip is because of this. I don't mind elected officials that will look at someone from the podium, ask them a question, and then say they don't believe them. I'm not sure that I agree with Commissioner Garrick on that. That's fine. That's a whole aside. But Gilmore and the individuals that are promoting projects, you know what? I would rather have that commissioner look at me and call me a liar, if that's the word we're going to use, which I don't think Commissioner Garrick used. But I would rather have them look at me and tell me that they don't believe me. So then I have a chance to address it, to talk back. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think that Commissioner Garrick was being rude. I think he votes wrong a lot of times, and sometimes he votes right. I love the fact that he brings that debate up because it needs debate. It really does. For the rest of us that pay taxes, it's a debate I like seeing happen. But when he looks at someone and says, I don't believe that, to me, that's just being upfront. And maybe we need more of that in politics. Bill and Melinda Gates are divorcing. Who gets what billion and who gets the other? We'll talk to a family law attorney that handles divorces, whose name you might recognize right after this.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money.
So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty. You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more. Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Watch No Filter with me, Debbie Schlussel, for no-nonsense, unfiltered analysis of the news that matters to you. You'll see engaging guests.
It began a 444-day nightmare.
Entertaining analysis. And it has everything to do with something that happened in history. And honest movie reviews. Trust me, this is just atrocious. No Filter with Debbie, weeknights at 10 p.m. Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Welcome back to Down the Road. You know, we've all known someone, and possibly you have gone through a divorce. I'm one of those people that watch a movie and I like to know the actor's background or I like to know if I'm watching something political, their background. And so I go on Wikipedia a lot. And what I find is that way more than 50% of them have been divorced and probably been divorced multiple times. So people get divorced is my point. Well, Bill and Melinda Gates are getting divorced. They announced that their marriage of 27 years is coming to an end. Now, for those of you who are saying, who is that? Microsoft. Think of some of the richest people in the world. Think of some of the, well, trust me, they worked with Doug Burgum, and they made him very rich as well. So this divorce is going to play out all over the public eye. It really is. And so I went to somebody I know quite well that handles divorces with the Nielsen brand law firm. And you're going to recognize the name. It's my daughter, Ashley Heitkamp. Ashley, good to have you coming down the road with me.
Yep.
I know how much you like doing media with me, so thank you. I appreciate it. Now, you handle divorce. You handle criminal proceedings and divorce.
Yep. I handle mainly family law. I do a little bit of criminal here and there, but mainly family law. And what that means is divorce, child custody. We handle a lot of probate matters. Anytime you're going to fight with your family, that's me. So
if a spouse is fighting one way or another, you're going to end up having one side or the other.
Yep, exactly.
You know, and I said this before you joined us, people get divorced. They get divorced.
I think the rate is over 50% now.
Yeah.
I do.
Exactly.
So people get divorced. People also just separate. You'd be surprised how many people don't live with their spouse and haven't lived with their spouse for a decade or more. They just never bothered to get divorced.
What is it? Well, okay, let's go there. What is separated? They still legally are married.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What about finances? What about responsibilities when it comes to all the things marriages bring you? And I'm not talking about who's mopping the floor. I'm talking about retirement accounts, those type of things.
Yep. A lot of times what you'll find is people will separate without actually getting a divorce. And it complicates things mainly for their heirs later in life. So,
So you're saying me and your mother should either get divorced or
yeah,
not.
let's just make that official, whatever happens, all right? The thing is that they'll separate. They'll say, I can't live with you anymore, but for religious reasons, I can't possibly get a divorce. And then they won't get what's called a legal separation. They'll just kind of move on. And that's fine until one of them passes. And now the beneficiary, unless they have dealt with it properly, which since they didn't bother to even get a divorce, they probably didn't. Now it's going to their spouse that maybe they haven't seen or spoken to in a decade.
Thus the kids contesting the will.
Or you'll see, hey, I'm actually your brother and sister and I've known my whole life, but our dad didn't want you to know, so now here I am. You see all these messy issues that come up. That it really just speaks to how important it is to deal with these things and to not ignore them.
So, a Bill and Melinda Gates divorce. I mean, do you think they have a prenup?
Yes. Yeah. Do I know? No, of course not. But yes, they have a prenup. And not just because they're so wealthy. What I know about Bill and Melinda, which is nothing, is that they
know about their software.
I do know about their software, and I do follow both of them on Facebook. So I guess that makes us friends now. I don't know. But they are pragmatic, they're practical, and they're incredibly mature. At least that's how I perceive them, whether I'm right or not. And what you'll find is that people who have a realistic viewpoint on their lives and who are very emotionally intelligent and emotionally mature get prenups. And around here, I wish more people did that. We have a lot of farmland. A lot of people in this area are farmers. You see these family farms that have been in the family for a long, long time. Get a prenup. And I'm not saying get a prenup to protect yourself or to protect your family, because a divorce is not going to be fun for anyone no matter what. But get a prenup so that everybody has an understanding from the beginning. Okay? You're having those difficult conversations when you're all in a good place, when you still love each other and everything's good. I actually would argue that from the standpoint of the non-farming spouse, I would say traditionally that's the wife. Traditionally the sons farm with their dads and then the sons get married. It's probably even more important to get a prenup because it handles the issue of spousal support. So, okay, you're going to move to the middle of, rural North Dakota and you're going to farm with your spouse. Now you get a divorce. Well, you're not going to live on the farm. Your in-laws probably live on the farm. You don't want to stay there. So now you're going to be moving. Maybe your career hasn't taken off how you wanted it to because you gave up so much time living in rural North Dakota. How are you going to make a living? How are you going to pay for things? How are you going to find your new normal? If you have that prenup, a $100,000 divorce becomes a $10,000 divorce very quickly. And now you get to spend that $90,000 rebuilding your life and moving on.
What about child support? And that gets away from the Gates case, I realize, but what about child support? Mm-hmm. Can that be handled in the prenup, or is that all decided by the courts?
Child support is calculated by your income at the time. And I say that loosely because we usually go back about 5 years, particularly if you're a farmer or self-employed. But what we can discuss is how your finances are going to be handled in the future. And I would argue that child support is such a moving target and you can manipulate it so much that your best bet is going to be to secure very serious assets in your prenup. So don't say, oh, I'm going to be fine because I'm going to get child support. You don't know that. In 2 years, that farm could go under. Now you're not getting much of anything. Secure the asset because that's going to give you longevity, long-term security.
So do women, there's this perception that women are the ones that come out of divorces the most positive. True or not?
No, not true. I guess in terms of what? In terms of...
I'm not talking about starting their life again and getting away from an individual that, as you put it, they've fallen out of love with. I'm talking about financially. I'm talking about coming out with, women are usually the ones that have the kids the longest. And so in terms of child support, there's a perception out there that women use child support as a means to enhance themselves financially. I mean, Do women usually win financially in a divorce?
Nobody wins in a divorce. Nobody wins. It's you're taking this amount of money that you could use at one household, and now you're splitting it. And whether it's 70-30, it's still less. Your lifestyle's going down one way or the other, and that's true for both of you. So nobody's going to win. Also, North Dakota, I don't want to say this on air because it's going to get me in trouble, and wow, do people feel passionately about this, but North Dakota doesn't take a lot of really items into account when talking about child support. They don't, for instance, they don't take daycare into account. So if I say, all right.
How do you not take daycare? That's one of the biggest expense that people have.
I don't know. I wasn't in the legislature. You were.
Really? You're playing that card? So, okay. I've only got a minute left here, but the weirdest item, the most surprising item that you ever had to fight for on behalf of your client in a divorce?
We didn't have to fight for it. But what they asked for was the phone book.
What?
He wanted the phone book. Apparently he had made notes and it was important to him. He wanted the phone book.
Was he your client or the other person?
He was the other client. That was fine. My client was more than happy to give it to him. They didn't fight.
But he made sure you knew he wanted the phone book.
We had to put it in the judgment. Yep. He wanted the phone book. And he made some notes, I guess, that were important to him. I mean, to each their own.
Did he have a cell phone?
Yep. Yes, he did.
So, did he have a contact list in the...
He did. I guess he had just made some notes that were important, and he had been keeping it for a long time. And other than that, I've heard of fighting over who has to take things. To be honest, we fight more about that. Okay. If I'm moving on, I want new furniture. I don't want to take that crappy couch. You go take the couch. I'm going to go buy new stuff. They fight over who has to deal with things.
Thanks, Ash. Thanks for coming on. Which client would you rather have, Bill or Melinda?
Melinda seems easier to talk to.
When we come back, some closing comments for you right here as we continue down the road.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree dental card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree dental card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree dental card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree dental card, you save $525. The Carefree dental card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree dental card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you could pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Elmiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Elmiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
You know, when your daughter looks you in the eye and says, I wasn't in the legislature, you were, when you're questioning a law, I guess I raised her right, because she kind of put me in my spot, or certainly in my place. Want to talk a little bit about what we began the show with, which is the fact that politically you have to have courage. And that was really the theme of what we talked about today. Liz Cheney has political courage. I don't agree with her on policy issues. I don't agree with her on the direction the country should always go. I don't. Her father, Dick, and she has gone down the road of almost every conflict this nation could get in, or war, whatever way you want to put it, they have supported. And so, yeah, I'm not a big supporter of the Cheneys when it comes to policy, but I do know when there's an insurrection, and I do know when there's an attempt to overthrow the government. So I do know when there's a big lie. I do. I know when an election hasn't been stolen. So here we sit. Liz Cheney had the courage to say it. And she'll continue to do that. She will. And don't believe that there isn't a political motivation there as well. There is. All things that you do that way, you weigh the political side of this. And Liz Cheney is looking at being president of the United States of America. And when she looks at it, she needs to separate from those individuals who would like to beat her. And one of those is Donald Trump. I think that Tony Garrick showed political courage as well. He knew when he said it that I don't believe you was going to be controversial. He knew that. And yet he did it to get the attention of what he believed. And I would rather have an individual do that to me. Say, I don't agree with you. Heck, they do it on talk radio every day. And then we have a debate. There's nothing wrong with that. He never called him a liar. He just said he didn't believe him. Then you can weigh whether or not he did call him a liar. Good riding with you, folks.